Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious Podcast. I am joined by my favorite brother, favorite co-host, Scott. Scott, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege once again to be here with you.
Well, this time we're talking about something that we both know and love, or at least a sport we have all kind of played, at least understand. We're talking about baseball season. Now, you and I both spent some time working in baseball and in professional baseball, and so this is a product of our love for the sport. Although I have to be honest, I haven't watched a ton of baseball the past couple of years.
Well, I think doing this podcast and then going back and listening to it, you'll be excited to watch games, maybe even go to some games. That's what we're attempting to do here.
That's right. Well, that was kind of the fun part is I started doing some research and you sent over some stuff and I added to it for today's podcast. It was kind of like, okay, here's some cool stuff to get excited over. So we've got opening day. Opening day technically already happened with the Dodgers and the Padres playing in Seoul, South Korea last week. But big opening day with all 30 teams playing is Thursday. So we will have all 30 teams taking to the diamond and starting the season.
So that's why we're sleeping last week, getting ready for March Madness. The Dodgers and the Padres opened in Korea. It was actually blacked out on ESPN where we are now, so we weren't even able to watch it. So
it was a really weird. I remember we put out, I think it was the day we do our Wednesday wisdom, and so I remember waking up and pulling the score, and the game was over at 3 a.m. Central.
Yes, so they did play games, although not many people on the West Coast saw it, I believe. But yes, so Dodgers and Padres already have 2 games played.
Okay, well, that gives them a little extra break somewhere along the line.
Yes.
So I want to talk about one of the things that do you have a good opening day story that you want to share?
Actually, I do. And I think you alluded that we both worked in baseball. So I worked for the Diamondbacks in spring training before they moved away from Tucson when I was in college. And you worked for the Diamondbacks during the regular season. So you had me come up for opening day with you one year, and we got to both go to opening day and experience all the hoopla and the traditions and everything that goes along with it, all the excitement.
It's pretty cool. It feels a lot like New Year's Day, right? Like anything is possible this year.
At that point, you still have a chance. Your team's undefeated, and you still have a chance to win the World Series. And for some teams, that might be the only excitement of the year.
That's true. That's very true. No, I would say it's just such a cool vibe. It's a cool feeling in the building when the season's ready to start. I always loved we worked in the community relations department, and we always had Make-A-Wish kids come set up the bases. So they'd walk out with the first, second, and third baseman and place the bases for that first game. And so you'd be on the field with the kids and their families, but then you'd be there, the Diamondback Stadium. Is it still Chase Field? I'm not sure. I think it is still Chase Field. There's a button that they push, and literally the roof opens, and it plays this angel. Do you remember that? It's like the angels singing.
Mm-hmm.
And to be on the field for that, and then to watch the flyover and be there with these families with their kids placing the bases, it's such a cool feeling. So I'm excited for opening day. It just so happens that the Tiny Human has a half day for the Easter break. So therefore, I guess we can watch baseball.
It seems that the school district is fans of baseball. And
that's right. And he has his opening day for his T-ball season. So it's basically the same.
On that same day?
Mm-hmm.
So he's essentially a Major League Baseball player then?
More or less, yeah. Seems logical. Without the signing bonus.
Which signing bonus could be a Paw
fruit
Patrol
snacks
or fruit snacks.
Exactly. So one of the things that we love to do is really set people up for success if they're going to a game, if they're going to a sporting event. That way they kind of are prepared to know what's going on. So talk to me about, there's definitely teams, every team has traditions, but talk to me about a couple of teams who have legit serious generational traditions that we should know about if we're going to their game.
Yeah, as we head into the season, it's always a good time to refresh, take a look back on some of these teams who have incredible traditions throughout the years. I think the one that everyone probably knows would be Red Sox with Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone goes crazy, and I think Neil Diamond even showed up a few times recently to sing it. So that's
He did.
yeah.
I think, was it last year or the year before, he had a play on Broadway, and he came with the whole cast and sang at the during the 8th inning, which is, it's just cool. It's something different. It means like basically a large karaoke party.
Yes. And by that 8th inning, everyone's pretty lubed up. So it's definitely a good time.
It is. It's just sit on the.
Have you not? You've been to Red Sox Stadium.
I have. Yeah, we went for some team meetings, and I got to sit on the Green Monster, which is the left field wall, because it's a small stadium on that side. So instead of, it's really easy to hit a home run. So they've made a giant green wall, which they call the Green Monster. And that is so that it's not so easy to hit a home run. You have to hit it up and over a certain line. So I've set up there, and that's pretty cool.
It's a pretty amazing experience. I think those seats were maybe brand new up there, roughly. We needed that.
Yeah, it was probably a while ago. I'm not going to date myself, but it was a while ago.
Then,
one tradition I love. So it started really with, in Milwaukee with the Brewers, they have the sausage races, because little did I know that Wisconsin has extensive ties to Germany, with the highest U.S. percentage of its population tracing their ancestry back to the old country. Also the home of Johnsonville sausage. And so they do the racing sausages. The Nationals in D.C. do the racing presidents. It's kind of just a fun something or other to cheer along. I feel like George Washington has the most wins, but I can't remember exactly on the racing presidents.
That would make the most sense as our first president.
As you would. So what else do you love? Talk to me.
Let's see. I think another iconic singing tradition would be the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley. Celebrities, athletes, Will Ferrell. I mean, we've had so many people do it, and there's some very good renditions and some very bad renditions.
Yeah, so you're talking about
Mike Ditka comes to mind
for a bad one. Yeah, that was I haven't seen that one.
I mean, you can do.
Bill Murray does it quite often.
Yeah, he'll randomly show up and do it, I think, whenever he wants.
Yep, I mean, that's what happens. So you're talking about Take Me Out to the Ballgame. Now, do you know the history of Take Me Out to the Ballgame?
I feel like you already dropped some population facts on me with the Germany and Milwaukee, so I think you have something else to do up here.
I told you, I was trying to think of some interesting angles for this season, and I was like, where did Take Me Out to the Ballgame came from? And it actually came from a lyricist and a composer who wrote the song while riding the subway, where he spotted an advertisement to go to a game. But Take Me Out to the Ballgame, Buy Me Some Peanuts and Cracker Jacks, that's the chorus of the song. And so it's actually a song about a girl named Katie who was crazy about baseball. And so her boyfriend asked her if she wants to go say a show, and her response is, "No, I'll tell you what I can do, and then you can take me out to the ball game." So there's your little bit of a history on Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Katie sounds like a keeper. She'd rather go to a baseball game than a show.
There you go.
Yep.
Didn't know there were other words to the song besides that's the chorus. So now we know.
Now we know. I don't think anyone else knew that either.
Yeah, you're welcome. Fun facts for the day.
One more?
I think so.
I think opening day with the Reds, which is always a grand and just gigantic party. They have parades, and pretty much the town shuts down. I do believe they're the oldest professional baseball team in the major leagues, if I'm not mistaken. So this tradition's been going on for a long time.
Well, it's cool. It kind of goes back to the point that you made, like, you're undefeated that first day. Like, why not get excited? Why not, hey, you know what, skip school, watch the game on TV in your boardroom. Like, why not?
Yep, and for Reds fans, that was probably the highlight for many, many years. But it seems like this year they've gotten it together a little bit, so hopefully there'll be more to celebrate in Cincinnati. It's such a cool ballpark, too.
I've not been to that one. Have you been there?
It's on the list. I have not.
Okay. What's like the one you really want to go to that's on your list?
That I have not been to.
Mm-hmm.
List.
Okay.
Everyone raves about how smart their fans are and respectful, so I'd like to go there.
Oh, that'd be cool. I've heard the Pirate Stadium is really beautiful.
Yes, that's top of the list as well.
Okay.
And I'm sure their fans are hoping their team will improve this year as
Yeah.
well.
Once upon a time, I had a dream to go to all the stadiums. Can't say that that's probably is high on my list anymore, but it'd be still neat to do.
Yeah.
Every summer we'd get letters from people who were like, "Hey, I'm coming in. This is my last stadium. Can I get free tickets? Can I meet a player?" Whatever that might be. And we usually would put together a little something of treats for them, so they at least got something for. It's a big accomplishment.
That's an expensive accomplishment as well.
That too. So, talk to me a little bit about last season, recap for us who we need to really pay attention to, what's kind of happening, set us up for success. After we now know our traditions, we now know it's opening day. Talk to us about what we need to know.
Oh, yeah. We've had a full off season, so we kind of recap real quick. The Texas Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks, who we previously spoke about their opening day, to win their first ever World Series. And they went undefeated on the road, so it was a pretty magical run for them. MVP-wise, you're going to hear both these names a lot this season, so we might as well get them out of the way. Nationally, Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr., he was the unanimous MVP there. And then in the American League, who is no longer in the American League, but Shohei Ohtani won his second unanimous MVP for the Angels. But as we know, he has since moved a few miles down the road to the Los Angeles Dodgers in the offseason. And you're going to hear nonstop about him. So,
well, first we should tell everyone who's not familiar with these players. Shohei Ohtani is a phenomenal baseball player. Not only is he a pitcher, but he's an excellent hitter, and that is a very, very rare combination because pitchers usually spend so much time focusing on their craft and not working on their hitting. So to be a phenomenal hitting pitcher is just completely unusual. And he's had an interesting offseason. He's had a surprise marriage. He's had an interpreter steal money from him. So talk to us a little bit about that, just so we're on the up and up on that too.
Yep. In addition to moving stadiums, he had elbow surgery, so he won't be able to pitch this year. So he's strictly just hitting. So he'll have to take a year off from pitching. Like you said, he's a very secretive man. He doesn't really put it out there in public. So he randomly one day just said he got married to a normal Japanese woman, I think was his phrasing.
I think she's a basketball player, no?
But at the time, that's all he said. But it did come out that she was actually.
Okay.
So this was months later that this came out that she was actually a really good basketball player, and I think she played professionally in Japan.
What'd you do?
And let's see it. What else? He had his dog, so he got the dog. It was with him in the MVP acceptance speech.
Oh, okay. As you
also
do.
Very exciting. Mm-hmm. And in the past few days, we've gotten this betting scandal with his former interpreter, who it's just a wild story that we're still unraveling at the moment of this podcast recording.
Yeah. So this interpreter was allegedly withdrawing money or linking money directly from Ohtani's bank account to this alleged illegal bookkeeper. And the FBI was investigating. The bookkeeper found out the account was attached to Ohtani. Then all started to unravel. It turns out his interpreter, who's been around with him for a very long time, lied on where he went to school, university, all these kinds of things. So I'm sure things will continue to be unearthed in this crazy made-for-TV drama here.
Yes, and he screwed up possibly the best job in the world.
Yeah.
You go hang out at the ballpark all day and translate for your friend. But apparently he's just a terrible gambler, so I guess
there's been a couple of those, right? Wasn't there a guy on the Jaguars who gambled away like $40 million or something that he stole from the team?
Well, that was an employee, yes. And he was labeled,
yes.
He was labeled the worst gambler of all time by many people.
Well, there you go.
So
Don't steal money from your employer to
and
pay your gambling debts. That's what I'm going
yeah,
to tell you right here, right now.
yes. So to wrap that up, it was a very interesting off season for Ohtani. So I'm sure he's ready to just get out there and play and enjoy his new team and his new contract.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask the question, it feels like from our perspective of watching sports and seeing the momentum of different leagues, it seems like baseball is floundering a bit. They brought in the pitch clock last year, which I think helped some numbers, but it seems to me that the sport itself is it's a bit, I don't want to say archaic, that's not the right way to say that, but it's a little slow paced. Everything's kind of picking up. People are watching basketball. They're getting excited about soccer, especially women's sports. You're seeing that the NFL just continues to dominate, period. And so they kind of give me NASCAR vibes of like they keep adding and changing things and trying to fix things. Are they helping themselves? Are these gimmicks? Like, talk us through the pitch clock a little bit. Talk us through. I'm just curious from your opinion if you see that too, because it seems like they're just not. They don't have the social media presence that
Mm-hmm.
other leagues do, and so I'm intrigued.
I mean, I think it's been a constant battle for Major League Baseball to stay relevant. The sports, like you said, like football and the rise of women's sports, NBA playoffs are going on during most of the season as well. So they've tried to shorten games, get people's attention spans, which don't exist anymore,
Mm-hmm.
to focus on the game. And it seemed like it was a gimmick last year, but the pitch clock implementation that they did, which was set to speed up games, actually people hated it at first, but it turned out that it was probably the best thing that baseball's ever done. It shortened games. It got people to go. They actually had the highest attendance increase year over year since 2017.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
where on the outside it looks like it may have been floundering, the pitch clock would shorten games actually had a huge impact and really rose attendance to shocking numbers. I think that'll
That's
continue.
That's really interesting because, yeah, one of the things is the games are long. Like if
Mhm.
I go to a game, the chances of me staying till the end are slim.
Yep, and you find out the hard way that and you used to think you could show up maybe 30 minutes later and it'll be in the second inning, but now if you show up 30 minutes an hour late, you're halfway through the game. So
Yeah,
you need to get there early, and it's barely even time for like 2 beers with how quick the game's going now.
depends on how
Yeah.
fast you drink your beer.
Well, that's true, depending on your drug ability. But yeah, it actually absolutely had a huge increase, and I think it's probably just going to get even better.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, I know there was some stuff with regional sports networks and them going bankrupt and people weren't able to watch games. Has that all been cleared up?
The reason that MLB is kind of behind the eight ball is the ability to watch games. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
blackout issues in certain areas. Like I said, we couldn't even watch the game here in Las Vegas when it was in Korea. I guess we should have been there if we were real fans. But
Mm-hmm.
last year, it was called Diamond Sports Group, who had all these regional channels for all these teams, went bankrupt. And it's really complicated. I really tried to look into this. They're still working through it, but it seems like they got a huge investment from Amazon, which is
Oh,
going to help keep them afloat and hopefully keep most of these teams on TV.
okay.
And it varies
Isn't that
team by
crazy?
team. It's bizarre. It varies team by team. Some teams have the deal and some don't. So it's incredibly complicated and kind of sad to see that even if you want to watch a game, you can't sometimes. So
Well,
that's a problem they need to fix.
yeah, it's really interesting though because you think about it, the baseball season is so long, 182 games. So to sign up to carry even half of those is
Mm-hmm.
significant when you can, obviously the NFL charges more, but you can throw on an NWSL game or a WNBA game and probably get similar, if not better ratings depending on your market.
Yeah.
And there's less games. So you've got a bigger bang for your buck in a sense.
What region you're in, if you can even watch them. I know here we get most of our West Coast teams are blocked out because we're within a certain um, area. So it's really tough to watch games here.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I just remember getting those phone calls when the games would be blacked out and people would be calling and complaining that they couldn't watch the game. They had to listen to radio and it was like, Look, that's out of my that is above my pay grade.
Yes, unfortunately, it is out of
But it'll
our
be interesting.
all of our pay grades.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how that works out and how that if that shifts at all with the A's moving to you all in 2028. Is that right?
I think so. I don't know if anyone really knows the real
Okay,
answer to that yet.
got it. With their Sydney Opera House looking stadium that, as I was reading some articles about, I was like, there's no batter's eye. There's
No.
no sealed walls for air conditioning, and it's in Las Vegas in the summer. So,
And the piece of property it's on is not big enough for that actual stadium.
oh, well, there's that too. And there's still a casino on it.
Yes.
So there's that.
And there is another way they might get fans of younger generations with these see-through Fanatics uniforms that we've been seeing.
Oh, yeah. The uniform's been a hot mess. They switched to Fanatics and they've been see-through, which is not flattering. Now, I know that they're adding in some more international stuff to gain attention. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, they do a good job of doing notable games outside the country to try to draw interest, which doesn't necessarily help grow the game here, but it does help it grow internationally. So, like we said, Padres and Dodgers opened up in Korea. We've got the Mexico City series, Astros and Rockies in April. And if you've watched these games, that stadium is at such high elevation. There's so many home runs hit here in that series. It's ridiculous. And we've got the London series, grow the game in London with the Mets and Phillies in June. And then we also have the Field of Dreams game, which typically I think you've seen it played in the past in Iowa in the cornfield. But this year they're moving it to Rickwood Field, which is the oldest professional ballpark in the United States.
Where's that?
That would be the Giants and Cardinals.
Where's that stadium?
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot. That's interesting. They moved away from the Field of Dreams. And then they always do a game during the Little League World Series too, right?
Yes, so that's happening again as well. It's the Yankees and the Tigers. MLB
Oh, that's cool.
Classic, which is probably the coolest thing they do. They have the ball players go up there and watch the Little League World Series with the kids and interact with them and hang out and sit in the stands.
It's super cool. Like that's one of my favorite things I think that they do because what a cool way to connect with your future athletes, but also your biggest fans.
And a lot of those guys, playing in the Little League World Series, so it brings them back as well. So it's kind of a full circle deal.
That's very cool. I have something I want to leave us with. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with for this Major League Baseball season 2024?
Let's see.
You know why they call them Boys of Summer?
Because they play during the summer.
Yep, they're the only league that plays one of the four major male professional leagues. It's the only one that plays within 1 year and over the course of the summer.
There we go.
There you go. That's not what I was going to leave you with, but
let's see it. Can we talk payroll real quick? I think that's always
sure.
a hot topic. So as we know, there's no salary cap in baseball. There's just the luxury tax penalty, and we've seen teams just spend enormous amounts of money. In the past 30 years, only 4 teams with the highest payroll have actually won the World Series. So it doesn't necessarily pay off.
Yeah. Well, I think baseball is so so mental in so many ways, right?
It doesn't matter necessarily how much you're making, more the composite of the team. We've seen the Mets with Steve Cohen when he took over just spend enormous amounts of money. And I think they've been the top payroll in the entire time he's run the team, and they're at number 1 again. And it's not paid off for them at all.
Not at all. Interesting. Okay, well, here's my fun fact for you. Do you know the history of the 7th inning stretch?
I'm going to find out.
Yes, you are. It relates back to the 27th president of the United States, William Howard Taft, and he threw out the first pitch in 1910 at a Philadelphia Athletics Washington game. And in the middle of the 7th inning, he stood up and to stretch his legs, and everyone thought he was leaving, so they all rose out of respect. And so that's where the 7th inning stretch, that's the most common tale. There's another couple that people have kind of added in there, but that seems to be the most common one of all the different sources that I've looked at. So you can take that back to Mr. President Taft, who I believe was also the only president to get stuck in a bathtub. just in case you wanted another fun fact for your life today.
Can I leave one more thing?
Yes.
We talked about attendance and growing the game. The Marlins traditionally have very bad attendance.
Miami Marlins, yep.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things to do in Miami other than go to a game, or attendance not great. So this year they're doing a few things to try to change that. They're trying to change the vibes of the game. They're letting fans bring flags and musical instruments into the park.
Oh,
to make it more like a soccer game, like an international game, even like you see it in Korea and in the Caribbean series. So it's trying to get people to come have fun at the games.
They did that when we went to the baseball game last year in Japan. They had drums and guitars and piano. Like it was great. The singing and it's like being in a softball game.
It's created better atmosphere. So
absolutely, it was fan. I just enjoyed watching the horn section, and I mean, it was so fun.
Yeah, so bring your instruments, but you cannot bring pots and pans. That's where they draw the line.
Okay, not really technically an instrument. Okay.
No, so don't bring your pots and pans. And then they're also offering all you can eat food and drink for $52.
Oh, well, noted. Roll up with my $52 worth of food, everybody, and drink. You're going to get more than 2 beers if you're doing that one.
Non-alcoholic drinks only, sorry.
Oh, well, boo. I'm going to drink lots of Coke or Pepsi. And get wild, team.
Take some Tums before you go because it's hot dogs, chili dogs, nachos, chili nachos, cheeseburgers, popcorn, peanuts, and cookies.
My stomach hurts already.
Yeah. I don't know if the $52 is worth it.
Yeah, in that case, just no. Well, I appreciate you sharing these wise nuggets of information around the 2024 Major League Baseball season. Who knows what will happen? The playoffs are always interesting. We always have wild card, but the season is long, but hang in there because there's a lot of time to learn and see a lot of great things happening in the world of sports. And obviously we'll continue to cover baseball as it relates to the whole season through the All-Star break, et cetera, et cetera. So stay here. And of course, we'll make sure to cover Ohtani's continual dramatic situation that's happening. So lastnightsgame.com, and of course, follow us on social. Thanks, Scott.
Play ball.
Play ball.